But I wanted to mention a player in particular who's got a hell of a lot of stick this season. And some have said that he is being disrespected. All the time in football, when Arsenal do well, this player gets compared to somebody, no matter who it is. Oh, well, when Ronaldo, when Messi, when some, I don't care about him. Bukayo Saka is 22 years old. He's not 32 years old, right? He's got now 10, not 10, 12 goals, 7 assists. Last season, he got 15 goals and was said he was the best right winger one of the best right wingers along with Salah, right? This season, he's had a poor season, Saka. You know what's happened to him? He looks half the player of ours. Listen, he's had a few bad games, trust me. But this player has now scored 4 goals in the last 2 games and has created or been involved in the majority of those 21 goals that we've scored. He's either been a part of his play that has created it or given it a pre-assist, if you really want to call it that, which I can't stand personally, but he's been involved in, or he's had a corner, or he's scored the goal. This is one of the most disrespected players in the league for me, man. He's neutral. I don't understand what more the kid has to do. He's got 100 of goals and assists at 22 years old, the youngest in the club's history to do it. I got so much time and respect for him, man. And I thought he was, again, fantastic yesterday, as he was against West Ham. And I wanted to ask you, why is it that he is disrespected is my first question. And 2, why do we have to compare him to Foden when he plays well? And why do we have to compare him to Messi or Ronaldo? Why does all that come from? Why can't he just be Bukayo Saka, Lee?
Well, I don't understand it. I really don't. And at the end of the day, when, again, like it was Jamie Carragher. Was it Jamie Carragher that turned around and said that Foden's world class and Saka isn't? Like,
that was Rio Ferdinand.
Rio Ferdinand, sorry, it was Rio Ferdinand. It's just listen, Rio, I like Rio, don't get me wrong, but that's just for clicks. It's for just sheerly and utterly for clicks, because if you look at that sensibly, you know what I mean, like Saka's done it in the Euros and in a World Cup, like, you know what I mean? You can't get no higher than a World Cup. I've seen players become world superstars on the back of World Cups, i.e. Brazilian players and whatever, like, you know what I mean? And rightly so. Stoichkov, remember him at Bulgaria? I don't know if you remember. Was fantastic at Barcelona, but become a world-class performer in the World Cup. And Saka's done that already at 22. Harry Kane was playing for Millwall at 22.
Yeah.
Or Norwich or Leicester on loan, like, you know what I mean? Like, and then become a world-class player. Ronaldo was doing what Saka's doing now in the Premier League. Not as great, if I'll be honest, but he was still starting to show his worth and everything like that. This is a kid that took a poor Arsenal team and carried it for 2 seasons, by the way. You know what I mean? Which no one says about that. Like, Foden's been carried. Foden's been carried by world-class players. Saka hasn't. Like, you know, Saka is in the England team on merit. Saka has not had one of his greatest seasons. I tell you, if that's not one of your greatest seasons, but you know what I mean, it's some players can't even get to those standards. Like, you know what I mean? I've had people like turning around and saying Kulusevski is better than Saka. Like, you know what I mean? Two for like an absolute joke. Like, you know what I mean? Like, at the end of it, like, you know, Mo Salah, fantastic player at Liverpool. Where he couldn't get in the Chelsea side at 22 years of age. Do you know what I mean? Like, I had to go to Italy to earn his stripes before coming back to the Premier League. This kid's doing it now, and he's doing it on Arsenal. So for me, that's the end of it. And I don't care what other people have got to say and all that. Like, just continue doing what you're doing. Like, you know, outstanding again yesterday. One of the reasons that he's doing really, really well now is because I do think with Arsenal have looked at it the way that they played, Dan, and they felt, Mikel probably felt this, that you could not play this sort of football week in, week out, all the way through the season. So they had to just, you know, it's like a long distance runner, isn't it? Like, like paces themselves for a couple of, and then like the last final couple of laps go, you know, and it looks like we're doing that, like a fantastic 1,500 meters run, like, do you know what I mean? So that was it, like, you know, and I think that's what it is with Saka, and I think that he's been, I don't think disrespected. At the end of the day, he's in the conversation. Why are they talking about him? Why are they talking about him? Like, you know what I mean? The reason it is there, you know. And it's the same with Martinelli. You know, he ain't class, Martinelli, and all that. Like, you know what I mean? Blah blah blah. Martinelli hasn't scored in both games. Right, we scored 6 and 5, and he ain't scored. Look at the work rate of him.
Oh yeah,
chasing back and things like that. Like, you know what I mean? What that tells me, Dan, is he's not selfish. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to stay up here and nick myself a goal. He's putting the team before his personal glory. Saka does exactly the same. Like, you know, Martin Odegaard does it all the same. It's not the individuals. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a game of tennis, Rio. It's a game of football, and it's about teams. Yes, you need star players to step up at certain times. Saka does it more than anybody. Look at his statistics against all the top teams around him. Forget about the Burnleys, forget about that. Have a look at his record against Liverpool, Manchester United, Tottenham, Manchester City. Scored in all of those games, Dan. He's not just a
big game player as well.
Yeah, he's not a bully. Does it all round, like, you know. So for me, listen, let everybody else talk about him. We know how good he is. We know how good he is. Because you know why, Dan? We watch him week in, week out. We don't watch him so and so. Like, you know, I haven't even watched Man United game today, like, you know what I mean? So I don't know how well that they've played or whatever, like, you know. But I know how well Saka played yesterday, and that's all that matters.
Facts, man. Listen, I love that segment. I really do. And I'm going to put up some comments that are actually backing up why some of the reasons are valid to be putting Saka in more of respect. This one comes in from Kicks. Saka in that City side, in my opinion, he'd be better than Foden. This next one comes in saying Saka was carrying us on his back for a few seasons ago. And do you know what? Absolutely he was, and still has been in the last couple of seasons. This is what I absolutely love from Robert. Fans will talk about Saka in 20 years like us older fellas talk about Liam Brady. And this is what one of my favourite ones is. When people talk about him, he does the talking on the pitch. And that's what I like about it, because there's a lot of young kids at 22, Lee, that have been speaking about that player or might think, well, everyone's talking about me and don't reckon I'm better than Foden. They're not too sure if I'm world class. They don't quite know. He don't let any of that get to him. He just cracks on. One of the best interviews last week for Saka after the West Ham game. You got man of the match. Oh, cheers, I'll take it. But I'm disappointed I didn't get a couple more goals. Elite mentality, bro, at a 22-year-old age. That is incredible for what he's done. And when people compare him with Foden and Ronaldo and Salah, and is he the best winger in the league? Is he better on it? That means he ain't doing too bad, as far as I'm concerned, because no one at the moment is comparing Timo Werner with Salah and with why is that? Because he ain't doing very well, right? That's why. So when people start comparing him to that, and it is the neutrals that love it. Yeah, but he might do all right, but he ain't Salah. I don't want him to be Salah. Salah's done, mate. I want this lad to be Bukayo Saka, because that's a great thing you've said. When Salah was 22, he couldn't get in the Chelsea side, mate. So let's look at it. Cristiano Ronaldo, they're comparing him to Ronaldo now. They're trying to compare him to Ronaldo. They actually aren't. What they did was they compared the first few seasons of Cristiano Ronaldo's career at Man United to Saka's first few years, and Saka's stats are better. That doesn't mean he's going to go on to be better than Cristiano Ronaldo, right? That means that he's going to be a very good player. That's all it is. So for me, if you have a bad game in a Manchester City shirt, it's probably not as recognisable because Kevin De Bruyne has got you out of it, or Haaland has got you out of it, or Bernardo Silva has, or one of those top world-class players. For the last few years, Saka has been playing with Hector Bellerin, Mustafi, Skilaccis. All these people wasn't quite Skilacci era, but you get my drift, right? He's been playing with some poor players. So if he has a bad game, it's noticeable because he's star boy and he's supposed to be the one that's delivering every single season. And personally, people that are questioning him this season, I think are just a little bit jealous, really, and don't like the fact that we've got a top talent. So I had to get that segment in there, mate, because I believe personally he is an unbelievable talent.
And listen, Adam put a good point up there. Like, you know, Rio Ferdinand probably saying that because, you know, Rashford's having such a poor season. So we, you know,
most overrated player, mate. One of the most overrated players I've ever seen. I don't get this loving for him, mate, at all. What is he going to get?
We're not talking about how poor he's been this season. So we'll have a pop at Saka, like, you know what I mean, as poor as he is. But listen,
and just quickly, this was the best bit, actually. I'm so glad he brought this in. Tech forward. This is fantastic. Rio wouldn't start Foden for England, but he's world class and he would start Saka. That's what I didn't get. He said that right at the end. He's completely contradicted the whole rant he went on by saying, I'll play Saka. I'm not sure I'm Foden to get in. Or something like that. I haven't seen it.
I love Foden. I'm like, I love Foden. Why are we comparing Foden with Saka? They're two fantastic players that both should be
different positions.
Both should be playing for England. Both should be playing for England. Simple as that.